Hey, y'all. I am so excited you came back for the next part of our 1031 exchange adventure. My name is Jennah Sears. I am your favorite Texas real estate agent, and I am here to help you understand all things real estate related, regardless of whether you are in Texas or not. I am so excited to continue on this series. Once again, I am joined by my good friend and wealth expert, Rick Goodwin. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Jennah.
Thanks for
Good
coming
to see you
back.
again.
Yes, I know. It's been so long. I love it. So give us a high level recap of what we talked about last time, like 3 bullet points.
Okay. Huge capital gains from your successful journeys in business or real estate in your housing and properties, land, whatever. And you want to defer that tax potentially forever. You want to
Forever,
do that
ever.
through a program called DSTs.
Yes. Because Delaware,
Delaware
they like us.
Statutory Trust.
Yeah, we love it. All right. And then what?
And then just enjoy income coming in. We call it
Yes.
mailbox money.
I always want mailbox money.
There you go.
All my people want mailbox money too. All right. And who did you bring with you today?
Yeah, today I brought one of the pioneers, developers of this program, Tom Jahncke. He's going to join us from beautiful Thousand Oaks,
Love it.
just outside of L.A., far enough to be beautiful.
Yes. Less smog, hopefully.
Yes, lots of palm trees on the way to work. Very cool. And the weather is amazing all the time.
We don't hate Californians here.
No.
We love them. We
So
love
Tom's
them.
been in the business for decades, and he is just a wonderful guy, the nicest guy. You would has just had a massive amount of success in this space, and just a very smart guy in this area.
Perfect.
So
Well,
he's the go-to.
I'm excited to talk to him. Tom, are you there?
I'm here.
Yay!
Hello, Tom.
All the way from sunny California. And
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, and I guess first things first, when you hear that somebody is the pioneer of something, I always want a backstory. So tell me how you got into this business, how you got into this industry, and a little bit, about your journey professionally.
Yeah, and actually, I started right out of college. Bought my first rental property in 1971. So I've been doing
Yes.
this for a little while.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. And in the late 90s, I learned about 1031 exchanges. And I'm going to give a little more history. Actually, Section 1031 has been in the tax code since I think it's 21, 22, something like that, long time.
Oh, yeah.
And the original idea behind a 1031 exchange was some farmers may want to expand their farm and the guy selling didn't want to pay the tax. And so they could line up their farms better. The whole concept was you could buy and sell and defer the capital gains. And that was to encourage some of the farmers to actually move to the city because they didn't have enough workers in the cities in those days. So long time ago, but it's evolved now where 1031s are done by any real estate investor who wants, as you referred to in your previous program, to grow their portfolio without paying more tax as they take each of the steps. And that's an important aspect of the concept. And they can do a 1031 exchange on their own. They don't need to do a DST. But where the DST comes into play is most of our clients, have had real estate for many years, and they get tired of what they call the toilets, trash, and tenants.
Yeah.
Having to deal with the 3 Ts can be bothersome if you're getting older and you're getting tired of managing your real estate. So what it provides is a way to sell your real estate, defer your gains, and so you get out of management, you don't pay the taxes, and often you can increase your after-tax cash flow depending on what kind of property you're coming out of. and then you keep exchanging until you die, and then your heirs get a step up in basis.
Wait, explain that to me. What does a step up in basis mean for everyone listening?
Sure. So if you bought a property for $100,000, 25 years ago, and today it's worth $1 million, if you were to sell it, you have to pay the tax on that difference between 100,000 and $1 million. If you do a 1031 exchange until you keep doing them until you die, when you die, the valuation on that property, let's assume you die when it's worth $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
The capital gains is permanently eliminated. It's a step up in basis. Your heirs,
Ooh.
when they receive title to this property, their basis is that $1 million, and they don't have to pay the tax on the difference. So they start fresh as an owner of that real estate when they inherit it, and so the capital gains tax has been permanently avoided.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm just doing the math. I'm like, okay, so my son could, if I invest 100K today,
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about the difference between somebody who would use a regular 1031 versus somebody who is going to use that DST.
Right. So, and I'm sure you're familiar with the term sweat equity in your real estate portfolios. If you are going to do your own 1031 exchange, when you buy that new property, you still have to go out and manage it and collect the rent and fix the toilets and do all the work involved in owning rental real estate. Where the DST is different is you get out of the management responsibilities and you get that mailbox money that Rick was talking about, check every month, and you get to participate in all the appreciation. And so it's a win-win for people who no longer want to manage their own real estate. That is the key difference between just doing your own 1031 exchange and doing a DST.
So I get a DST, and now I get to go lay on the beach in my old twilight years, and then my son gets to just collect, and basically the clock starts over when I'm dead. When I'm dead.
Yeah, I forget who said it. One of the early legislators said, there's only two things you can't avoid, and that's death and taxes. Well,
yes.
But when you die with doing 1031 exchange, you do avoid some taxes. So,
but to be clear, you're getting income at the beach now.
Yes, I am.
While he gets a step up later.
Yes.
Right.
So it really benefits generationally.
Important point is when you sell your investment real estate, oftentimes people who are managing their own don't raise the rents as fast as they did when they first bought the property, because everybody knows if a tenant moves out, then you got to go find a new tenant. And sometimes that's a lot of work. So often we find that the client, is not raising his rents, and the rent potential on that property is higher than where he's at, because he just doesn't want to have to go through the hassle. So that's why when you do a 1031 exchange, you often increase your cash flow, and particularly if you go from no leverage to leverage, you increase your basis, so you get more depreciation, so you get more shelter, so your after-tax income in many cases goes up, so that mailbox money is even worth more to you than what you've been getting when you're managing the property yourself.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about how you've built your business and how your clientele and your experience in working with 1031s has changed from the beginning of your career all the way to today.
Well, I must admit, in my early days, if I'd known about 1031s, I'd have even a bigger portfolio. But
for sure.
Well, I'm glad I'm learning about them now.
Right. So, that has been the big change. When we started our company back in the 90s, um, and actually the whole process was motivated by one of our real estate clients who came to us and said, I have this industrial building that I've had for years, and I'm tired of managing it, and I want to get out, but I'm told by my accountant that if I sell it, I'm going to have to pay more in taxes than what equity I have in it, because I had refinanced it several years ago and taken money out.
Mm-hmm.
So now if I sell it, I got to pay taxes. I don't get anything.
And you're at a loss almost. I mean, it's like,
Right.
why?
Yeah. So the obvious solution to that is to do a 1031 exchange. And his comment was, I don't want to manage anymore. So that, quite honestly, that was the motivating force for us to, we with our attorneys, we literally went back to Washington and sat down with the IRS, and the securities folks, and worked out the first. It was originally a tenant in common structure for
Mhm.
Yeah.
1031 exchanges. That's what was back in
Yes,
the 90s.
I know what that means, but our listeners might not. Can you
Okay.
give us a quick definition?
Sure. Yeah. If you say you got 5 friends who decide they want to invest in a real estate property, they could put together, it's not a partnership, it's tenants in common. So each of the 5 owners owns 20% as a tenant in common owner. And so that's a structure you can use to buy real estate.
Okay.
And the advantage, if you own it as tenants in common, when you sell the property, some of the tenants in common may want to do an exchange and some may not want to do an exchange. And so that's one of the advantages of having it in the name of a tenants in common. And in fact, if you have a partnership or an LLC that owns real estate, and that's the situation you're in, where some of the partners want to do an exchange and some don't, the best thing to do is to liquidate the partnership or LLC into tenant and common interests, so each
Ooh,
has their own.
yes.
And then you have to wait a while, probably into the next tax year would be advisable. And then you can sell the property, and those that want to do a 1031 exchange can, and those that want to take the cash can take the cash.
So tell me what it was like sitting down with the IRS. I mean, what does that even look like? Tell me the story.
Well, the
Because I
process.
avoid them.
The
We all
legislators.
want to avoid that.
The legislators, not the
I
IRS.
know. But
Well,
still, what
this
was that
is
like?
sort of a different angle. If you have a new concept that you would like to put forth in the investment world, let me say, um, you can do and go back and request what's called a private letter ruling, where you explain how you want to structure the property and the offering, and and they'll listen. And there's a committee of 5 people, and uh, in our case, we got 3 out of the 5 gave us a verbal saying yes, that would work, the way you're proposing to structure it, because the key was to make it a pass-through entity, so it wouldn't be taxed at the entity level. It'd be a pass-through, so each investor could have their own separate income and expenses, et cetera. And so we got that. We didn't get a written private letter ruling. Those take months and cost a lot of money to get. So we just went on the basis that we got a verbal. But then what happened is the industry started to grow, and in 2002 was the first revenue ruling from the IRS where they recognized 1031 exchanges as a fractional interest as opposed to just on the large size. And that's when the rules came out. You had 45 days to identify from when you closed on the property, and 180 days to close. Um,
Beautiful. And that's a nice, long, lovely timeline, even in the world of commercial real estate, too.
Yeah.
right.
So that's helpful.
But the advantage of the DST is because you have 45 days to identify. That means if you decide you want to buy a property and you're not going to buy it without doing some due diligence on it, and you may have to arrange financing, that 45 days turns out to be a pretty short time period. So that's one of the advantages of the DST, because the DST, the property has already been put together, due diligence has been done, financing is put in place, and you can just come into an interest in the DST without having to go through all that work yourself of finding financing and doing the due diligence.
I love that. So what did that process look like from, okay, now we have some farmers in the 1920s and now we're in 2002. So in 80 years, it just kind of, nothing changed within that space?
Well, no, what's changed is any type of investment real estate. So it can be duplex, fourplex, an office building, a dairy farm. It can be any kind of investment real estate. Can be exchanged for any other kind of investment real estate. You can't exchange personal property, but you can exchange investment real estate. But tied into that, you cannot exchange your personal home, your personal residence. But what you can do is you move out of your personal residence and rent it out for a year or two.
Yes.
Then it becomes rental real estate, and then you can do an exchange with it. And then on the other end, because I get asked this question all the time, well, can I just buy a retirement home someplace? And the answer is yes, but you have to, after you exchange into it, you have to rent it out for a couple of years before you can move in. But
could you rent it from yourself?
No.
Okay, because that's what all my clients would be asking me.
Right. Yeah. And you can't rent it to relatives per se either, because unless they pay market rent. If you establish what market rent is, potentially you could lease it to a relative. But if you're giving them a below market rent, it doesn't count.
No dice.
No.
I love that too, because 90% of self-made millionaires do that via real estate. So I like that you can diversify your investments while keeping them still under the real estate umbrella, because I feel like everyone always needs somewhere to live, somewhere to work from, somewhere for their cows to go.
Yes.
Y'all, this has been such an incredible conversation. Thank you so much, Rick, for being on. Thank you so much for bringing Tom. And I think we have to come back for another episode. I think that's just the way of it.
Oh, absolutely.
I love
and thank
it.
you so much for having me.
My pleasure, man. I'm like, this has been really, really fun. And I really think that all of my sweet friends out there are going to learn a lot from this.
I hope they do.
So thank you guys for hanging out with us again, and stay tuned because we are going to be back with Rick and Tom for our next episode. Bye, y'all.
Bye.